Welcome to Quit Course Digest. Today, we are diving headfirst into one of the most fascinating subjects out there, human biology.
Yeah, we're going to unpack the big ideas that explain how you, this incredible biological machine, actually tick. We'll go from the huge systems running the show all the way down to the tiny, tiny molecules that make it all happen.
I mean, it's a massive question, isn't it? But believe it or not, the answer really begins with one single core idea. A concept that controls, well, pretty much everything, from how warm you are to your blood sugar levels.
And that's what this section is all about. This whole thing is a balancing act, a secret to staying stable that's going on inside you this very second.
Okay, so this balancing act has a name, homeostasis. The best way to think about it, it's your body's internal thermostat, its master control system. It doesn't matter if it's freezing cold outside or you just crushed a giant pizza, your body is constantly working to keep things on an even keel. So, how on earth does it manage that?
Well, it mainly comes down to two key strategies. The big one, the one that's working 99% of the time, is negative feedback. It's exactly like the thermostat in your house. If you get too hot, your body makes you sweat to cool down. If you get too cold, you shiver to warm up. See? It reverses the change. Then there's the much rarer one, positive feedback. This is the total opposite. It amplifies a change, like when contractions get stronger and stronger during childbirth to get the job done.
Okay, so if homeostasis is the main goal, who's actually doing the work? Well, that's where our internal infrastructure comes in. All the incredible organ systems that are doing the real heavy lifting.
And this is just a quick look at the crew. You've got the nervous system, which is like your body's super fast internet. The circulatory system is the ultimate delivery service, dropping off oxygen and picking up waste. And of course, the skeletal and muscular systems give you structure and the ability to move. The amazing part is how they all work together, perfectly in sync to keep that delicate balance.
But think about it. How does it all happen so fast? I mean, how can your hand pull back from a hot stove before your brain even registers the pain? How do these systems talk to each other in a split second?
This is the perfect example, the reflex arc. You know when the doctor taps your knee and your leg kicks out? Here's the secret. That signal doesn't waste time going all the way up to your brain to ask for permission. Nope, it takes a shortcut. The sensory neuron sends the message straight to your spinal cord, which immediately sends a command back down a motor neuron telling your leg to kick. It's a built-in, lightning-fast shortcut for when speed is everything.
So that whole reflex was a beautiful dance between nerve cells and muscle cells. To really get how that works, we have to zoom in, and I mean way in. We're going past the big systems, past the organs, all the way down to the most basic building block of life, the cell.
And these three rules right here, this is basically the foundation of all biology. It's so simple but so profound. Every single thing we've talked about so far, nerves, muscles, your entire body, it's all made of cells. So if we want to understand the big picture, we've got to understand what's going on inside just one of these tiny powerhouses.
So let's start at the edge. Every cell has a plasma membrane, but don't think of it as a boring wall. It's more like a really smart, flexible gatekeeper or a bouncer at an exclusive club. It's super picky about what it lets in and what it kicks out, all to protect the important stuff going on inside. And once you're past the bouncer, you get to the VIP room, the nucleus. This is the command center. It holds the DNA, which is literally the complete instruction manual for building and running the whole operation. It's the blueprint for, well, for you.
Of course, all this work takes energy, right? That's where the mitochondria come in. These are the tiny power plants of the cell. Their whole job is to take the fuel from your food, like sugar, and turn it into a special energy molecule called ATP. And ATP is what powers absolutely everything else.
All right, you ready for one last zoom in? We're going even smaller now, down to the actual molecules that build and power everything inside the cell. We're talking about the chemical blueprint of life itself.
It turns out all of life is pretty much built from four main ingredients. You've got carbs, which are your go-tos for quick energy. Lipids, or fats, are for storing energy long-term and building those cell membranes we talked about. Nucleic acids, that's your DNA and RNA, they store all the important information, and then you've got proteins. These guys are the real MVPs, the workhorses that do almost all the jobs in the cell.
And the really cool thing about proteins is that their shape is everything. They start out as just a simple string of little beads called amino acids, but then they fold up into these wild, super specific 3D shapes. Think of it like this.
A flat piece of paper isn't very useful, but fold it into a paper airplane and it can fly. That final folded shape is what lets a protein do its unique job.
Okay, deep breath. We've gone all the way from huge organ systems down to single molecules. Now, let's pull the camera back out and see how this all fits together. And it all comes down to two things: energy and information.
Remember ATP, that energy molecule we talked about? I know we mentioned it, but seriously, it's impossible to overstate how important this stuff is. Every single time you blink, think a thought, flex a muscle, you're spending ATP. It's the universal energy currency. It's the gasoline that runs the entire engine of you.
So where does all this ATP come from? From a super efficient process called cellular respiration. You can think of it like a three-step assembly line. First, glycolysis starts breaking down sugar. Then the Krebs cycle takes those pieces and breaks them down even more. And finally, the electron transport chain is the grand finale. It's where the vast majority of that precious ATP gets cranked out. This is the heart of how we get energy from our food.
So that's the energy part of the equation. But what about the information part? Well, that's the nervous system. If your body is a country, the nervous system is its fiber optic internet network, zapping electrochemical signals around at incredible speeds. It's how your brain keeps tabs on and controls everything, basically in real time.
And every single one of those signals, called an action potential, is this amazing little electrical event. Picture this: a neuron just sitting there is like a tiny charged battery, just waiting. Then a stimulus hits it just right, and bam! Tiny gates fly open, charged particles rush in and out, and this wave of electricity shoots down the length of the nerve cell. That little zap, that's the language of your brain.
So when you put it all together, from the giant organ systems working in concert, all the way down to that tiny electrical dance of ions in a single nerve cell, you realize your body is just this unbelievable symphony of balance, energy, and information. Trillions of these interactions are happening every second just to keep you, you. It's an entire universe of activity inside every one of us. So the only question is, what will you learn about it next?